Greetings, class. This is Professor Welch again. We're looking at the final review of concepts in interrogation and in interviewing. One of the important concepts is false confessions. There are three types you need to know. One is voluntary. That's where a person confesses because of some type of craziness or mental problems. They're desiring notoriety. They didn't commit it, but they want everyone to think that they did. But it's a product of some mental illness. The next one is compliant, compliant, confession. This where a subject confesses to avoid adverse situations, or they think they will be rewarded. They want the interview to end, and they don't really understand how serious it is to confess. They think that the interviewing will end. So you've seen this on forensic files or cartoons where people are doing this type of confession. The other is internalized confessions. This happens when someone's young, when they're tired, they're old, or suggestible. They're being interviewed by someone who suggests that they committed a particular crime. And they think, oh, we're so old we can't remember, but we must have done something because this person keeps talking about it. So remember the three types: voluntary, compliant confessions, and internalized confessions. Another term you need to know is a interrogation strategy, which is emotion dominant. This interrogation strategy uses very slow chronological techniques. They try to personalize everything, so you need to study interrogation strategies. Now you need to have a good definition. What is interrogation? That is the questioning of a subject or someone who's suspected of criminal activity that has been stopped or has been arrested. The interview is the questioning of a suspect who is not suspected of criminal activity at the time of the encounter. And then you need to know the confession. That is where there is an acknowledgement of facts that this person has established that the person's guilty of the elements of a crime. Direct questions are asked during this type of interview. Remember the elements of a crime. Each and every element has to be established, like burglary, the breaking and the entering to the personal property of another with the intent to commit a felony or petty larceny therein. So each and every element must be established. There are various types of stress responses that you need to know. Depression is a stress response, and this is defined by someone who turns their anger inward. It's a reactive type and a blaming type of depression. And then you need to know about bargaining. This is a response characterized by complaining for sympathy, trying to minimize their remarks, and they're sometimes excessively courteous. And you need to know about anger, anger. That is a response, a stress response to gain control, and it includes rages. Then you need to know about acceptance. That's where there's a punishment statement or a third party makes a particular argument. So review the various types of stress responses. Now, looking at various concepts that you need to study, remember the science of stress and deception occurs because the deceptive subject is unable to monitor and control their emotions and their cognitive responses. And we can tell people whose past experiences determine they lack this control emotionally and cognitive over their thoughts. And you can review this in more detail at page 9 of the textbook. Now we need to look at general stress. This is a category of stress. Some of you may have been caught in traffic and be late for work, and running late, you come in very stressed. And so this is an example of general stress. In the textbook at pages 13 and 14, the stress is discussed in more detail. You need to be familiar with the RAND, R-A-N-D, studies. And these are discussed in more detail at page 1 of the text. And in this study, they looked at determinants of what is considered a satisfactory resolution of a case. And there we need to have information from the interview, and that's a very important part. So be sure to review the RAND study at page 1 of the textbook. Now also we need to know the concept of the narrative, N-A-R-R-A-T-I-V-E, phase. And here the interviewer has the opportunity to explore important points. Narration, the person doing the interviewer is trying to encourage the interviewee to narrate the various facts. We need to know about the elements of a good result in a crime, and this is discussed at page 24 of the textbook. You're looking at the quality of the interview. Our textbook talks a lot about depression. People say, well, why is depression? Why is these personality problems? Why is that a part of criminal evidence? The depressed subjects employ the simple method of denial, and this is known as a stalling, S-T-A-L-L-I-N-G, maneuver, M-A-N-E-U-V-E-R. This is discussed at page 65 of the textbook, and the stalling gives them more time to organize their various thoughts. There's a type of anger you need to be familiar with. This is called covert, C-O-V-E-R-T, anger. This is a clandestine, C-L-A-N-D-E-S-T-I-N-E, attack is conducted on an intellectual level. Now, looking at another concept, we will be going to the next tape on that one, and we will conclude our review tape 1 at the end of this dictation.